Hello, I'm Ed Rabyd, otherwise known as the Rabyd Atheist, a former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. Feel free to like the video or dislike it as you see fit. Feel free to comment below and share this video as much as you like, because the purpose of this channel is educational, and education in regards to deconversion, atheist, and other issues that are related. Wow, did that feel good for me to say that again? I'm back. All right. Every Sunday, my thing is, people ask me what I miss about being in the ministry the most. And right after singing in the choir, it's honestly just talking into a microphone and pontificating. You see, there's a real rush to preaching. And while I don't miss that, and I don't miss the whole mind games of that, there's something about just getting in front of the microphone and sharing what's on your heart, sharing what's on your mind. And I want this Sunday, with the Rabyd Atheist to kind of be that way. I'm not trying to make this super formal, but I do have some discussions, usually related to comments, like some comments will set me off and other things. And then I'm also going to talk about, some of the things, because I watch other atheist channels, and I want to, maybe highlight somebody's video or something that kind of struck me this week. And then probably as part of the rest of the format, any questions or comments that I think are worthy of responding to, I will respond to, that have come up in that week. Just a quick reminder of the rules around here. I don't allow ad hominem attack. In other words, don't insinuate something about somebody's character, call them names, things like that. It's a logical fallacy, and quite frankly, it just doesn't prove anything. It creates a lot more heat than light. And that's not what we're about here. Now, that's kind of the tone. And I want to discuss tone, because honestly, I've received several comments about changing, making sure that there's a difference in tone where you're trying to build bridges instead of burn them. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember ever trying to burn a bridge. I do really try to build bridges, but there's some things as an atheist I can't compromise on. And that's not me being aggressive or having an aggressive tone. It's just I'm presenting information that maybe the other side doesn't like to hear or really hasn't thought about. And sometimes when you do that, I've been accused of, well, you're being kind of aggressive in your tone. Now, I'm going to say something here that, and I hope I don't offend everybody, some of the people that have made this suggestion to me in the room, but it's interesting that as a member of the outgroup, the atheist, I always hear that comment directed towards us, directed towards the atheist. Oh, you guys need to tone it down or back it up again. And I'm thinking to myself, as my social psychology training, as I recall, that is a common tactic of the in-group against the out-group, to get them to moderate their tone or back off. I remember in school we studied like the civil rights movement, and they were always getting after Martin Luther King. Well, why don't you tone it down and relax? Not everybody, there's just a few people that are being, and he's like, no, I will not tone it down. I'm going to speak what I feel is the truth. And if the truth defends you, I guess the truth defends you. So I'm not going to change the tone to the point where I water down what I think is the truth. And I think sometimes, like atheists in general, and the new atheists, for instance, such as Dawkins and Harris, often get maligned as, oh, they're just aggressive and they need to tone it down and back it off a little bit, including by atheist brothers. I mean, on Simple Life Philosophy, I just finished reading this book, and he makes that remark about Dawkins and Harris, that he feels that the tones of the new atheists, he just doesn't appreciate. The problem I have with his observation, and it's one of the few places I disagree with him, is that a lot of times when I hear people saying, oh, they're being too aggressive, it's like, well, specifics, please. Can you give me details? What are you talking about? Well, he said this. I said, well, yeah, because, this guy said this, and he's challenging that assumption, okay? Something like that. Well, listen, that's the whole point of the debate. I've watched like the Harris-Peterson debates, a couple of them. Samuel Harris and Jordan Peterson have had a couple debates, I think. I know I've watched at least one of them. And I felt that Harris was actually fairly civil and Jordan Peterson was actually civil. And both of them at times, I think, got aggressive, but it's a debate. Dawkins is, he just says, well, how is, believing in God not a delusion? And the very fact that he would ask that question, oh, he's being too aggressive. Well, no, he's proposing something. And instead of, talking about us being too aggressive, instead of addressing is belief in God a delusion, like his The God Delusion, which is the title of one of his books, instead of addressing the issue, there's, he's too aggressive, he's too mean-spirited. And it's like, no, there is a clinical definition of delusion, and believing in God kind of fits it, is all he's saying. And I've read that book, and I never felt that he was being aggressive, but I do think that some of the things he says are going to upset people. Yeah, sure, but the truth has a way of upsetting people, okay? And so I don't think that that's necessarily being aggressive. I think sometimes we atheists are just very, where's your evidence, and just go at you, and people just get upset about that. And there is the social psychology of the out group being told to be silent or tone it down or back off. Well, I'm going to tell you straight from my perspective. Yeah, I mean, you run an atheist channel, I probably get more than my share, okay, of trolls, Christian trolls, fundamentalist trolls. As one person told me, well, I'm, a recent situation, I've learned that, there's a small group of toxic people. And that's true, except when you run something like an atheist channel, you collect more than your fair share of toxic people, of toxic Christians. And I am well aware of that, and I try to be very patient with them. But at the same time, why is it that we're always told to tone it down, but Christians aren't told to tone it down in their debate with atheists? And I was watching the video of the week, I guess I would, genetically modified skeptic had this talk with, I can't remember the guy's name, the doctor, who presented some statistics about atheists. How despised are atheists in America? And when you look at the data, and I'll post the link to the video there, and I'll even post a link to the actual article that the discussion was based on, so you can look at all the data. But when you look at the data, my conclusion as a political science looking at that kind of data is, wow, there's a bias in all quarters, not just conservative. You expect conservative evangelical Christians and Republicans to not like atheists. They just don't. But moderates didn't like atheists that much either, and neither did liberals. It was interesting that Democrats didn't like atheists because, everybody in America is a Christian. It's a Christian nation. And so anybody who's outside of that tends to get their note, I don't know about them. And, I think it's also indicative of a successful myths about atheists, like back in the 50s, the whole Red Scare, godless communists, these atheist communists, and which is laughable because I'm probably more capitalist than most and don't have anything to do with communism because I just look at every communist nation and go, you really waste a lot of stuff. You're just wasteful. And, that's just, my feeling about it. But I'm just illustrating a point here that there's been a lot of good PR against atheists, that we atheists have no ethics, we have no morals, and then we're told to tone it down. And I don't know which is the worst ad hominem attack. Is it a ad hominem attack when I say, there's not significant evidence enough to believe there's a God? Is that an ad hominem attack? No, probably not. But when a theist comes up to me and says, you atheists don't have any morals or ethics, that's kind of raw. In fact, it's very insulting. You wouldn't do that with any other group. Would you go up to a Muslim and say that? Would you talk, it's like somehow, unless you believe in some sort of imaginary friend, you don't have a basis for morals and ethics? How does that work? And I think they've just been very successful in their PR campaign of painting atheists a certain way. And I don't want to do anything on this channel that reinforces that. But at the same time, I think I should have the right to take that on. And if that comes off as aggressive, is it really me being aggressive or just you not dealing with the issue, okay? That you don't really want to answer the questions, okay, or provide evidence. Is that really what it is? And I think that's something that needs to be looked at. But I felt their discussion, because the guy who's having a discussion with is actually a Christian pastor, but even he had to conclude, based on the data, that evangelicals who have this persecution narrative, yeah, they're not really all that persecuted. He said the people that are persecuted are people outside of that group. Or he says, but the largest group of people that are truly, genuinely not really liked in this country, if you look at all the data, although most people are indifferent, he said, is atheists. He says there's a bunch of these 6 other small groups, but they're really small, that people don't like. But atheists are a fairly large group, and they're high on the list of people that people don't like. I think the one that was most telling, the one stat that was most telling, and the genetic modified skeptic Drew, he was the one that kind of pointed that out, is they had a question on there: would you have a problem with a family member marrying an evangelical Christian? And then they asked the same question: would you have a problem with a family member marrying an atheist? And they asked all the different people groups, all the different religious groups, that question. The final results, the overall results, are very telling, because only 9% of all the respondents on this data said, on this particular poll, said, I would have a problem with a family member marrying an evangelical Christian. It's nearly 50% for the atheist. I'm the one that needs to tone it down. I'm the one that needs to watch my aggression. You literally have a bias in your head that says if a family member is going to marry an atheist, 50% of you say, I should have a problem with that. But I'm the one with the problem. I'm the one that's, not being open-minded. Come on. Okay, I'm not trying to, cause a fight here, but if you're going to talk about tone in this debate, you got to address both sides, not just me as an atheist. I am willing to sit down and have a rational discussion with just about anybody, and I don't have a problem doing that. I'm not going to try to create a tone here on this channel where I'm reinforcing the negative stereotypes. But don't sit there and say I'm engaged in the narrative stereotype when your people, 50% of the time, won't even marry one of us. Like, you'd have a major objection. I can't imagine, if I get involved with a woman and, her family's full of theists, and I marry, and then half of them come up to me and say, we really have a problem with you marrying our, so-and-so. I'd be like, why? What for? It doesn't stop my love. It doesn't stop my care and concern. The charge of moral and ethics is really insulting, and it's untrue. When you look at atheists overall, they commit less crimes than everybody else. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I think when people tell me I need to change my tone as an atheist, or the new atheists need to change tone, I'm kind of taking that with a little grain of skepticism, because I think sometimes the in-group likes to tell the out-group that they're the ones that are the problem, and I think you have to watch that. I think you really have to think about that. I think, at some point in these videos on Sunday, I'm going to do some atheism in the news. I'll be looking at any kind of religious news and talking about it, and then probably addressing some comments. But in general about comments, let me talk to all of you that believe in God in the room, okay, in some way, shape, or form. I don't mind that you're here. I don't care if you comment. But don't be surprised if I don't respond. I only respond to things that catch my attention, and what doesn't catch my attention is arguments for the existence of God, or that I've already heard before and dealt with. Sometimes those arguments get a new twist. I'm actually thinking about starting a series on that. That'll drop during the week. about why the arguments for the existence of God still don't convince me. And it'll be more personal. I mean, I'll give you the general layout of what the argument is and that sort of thing. But if you're going to comment on this channel and get my attention, number one, don't give me something tired, old, that's well treaded out there that I've heard 100 times. Just for reference for all you people that believe in God in the room. Ed was a Christian for 40 years. He was a pastor for 20 of those years. He has a degree in biblical studies and ministry, a BA. He also has a degree in theological studies. Okay, so the Bible and theology is something I know quite a bit about. Okay, I also have a degree in political science. I'm well educated when it comes to the Bible and Christianity and how people work. Okay, so I'm not a scientist. I'm not like Iron Ra, out here yelling about evolution versus that. I'll let him handle that because he's far more of an expert than I am. But my expertise is Bible and theology. So if you quote a Bible verse to me, there's two reactions I'm going to have. Number one, atheists don't believe the Bible or Scripture or holy or anything like that. So it may not really, don't treat it like some sort of magic spell that's going to suddenly convince us. But two, there's a pretty good chance I know the verse that you're talking about, that I've studied it, read it several times, looked at it, probably preached from it. And so it doesn't impress me. I already have my interpretations and it doesn't impress me. So if you're going to be a theist commenter and want to get my attention, I would really appreciate it if you would focus my attention on something either A, I haven't heard before, or if you're going to use Scripture, tell me why I should pay attention to it. Don't just drop it in like a magic spell. Like it's going to change my mind just by being there. You need to tell me why you're using it. And don't be surprised that if you find yourself here on Sunday with a Rabyd Atheist where I'm addressing the Bible verse you gave me and ripping it to shreds, because that's probably what I'm going to do with it. Now for the rest of you comments, remember, comments that get my attention or when you name call, I'm going to tell you right now, I used to give 3 strikes on this. I'm going to give 1. Okay, I'm down to 1. I don't have the time or the patience to deal with people that don't understand the rules of engagement when you're talking about ideas. Okay, and I mess up every once in a while, but it's my channel. Okay, so make sure you're, keeping it clean. But the other thing is, I really appreciate insightfulness, and some of you are really smart out there. Just really think about it, and if there's something I haven't considered or you think I should consider, just let me know, and I'll address it here. If you have questions, I'll answer them here. One of the things, as far as the rest of the programming for the channel, I really feel at liberty to go back to the beginning and kind of redo some of those videos, kind of redo some of the things that I've talked about already, different passages of Scripture, things like that. So be prepared to see some things that maybe for you longtime viewers of the channel, and those of you who stuck around and stuck with me, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're going to see some things I'm going to talk about again. But there's a new audience around, and I really need to address them. There's different people. Also, my deconversion story has progressed a couple of years, so there's some new insights that I want to share there as well. So just keep that in mind. And today I'm probably going to hit about 20 minutes, but keep in mind that Sunday with the Rabyd Atheist is going to be a little bit more freewheeling, and because I'm going to have a little bit more content than this first episode, I'm going to be hitting maybe a little bit longer. It's designed to take up a half hour, maybe 40 minutes of your time. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible, but still address everything. Thank you for stopping by. I'd appreciate it if you would like, share, subscribe, comment on the video, hit that notification bell so you get more content as it's released. I appreciate everybody I'm just overwhelmed right now with the number of subscribers I've received in the last couple of months. It's just been huge. And it's really caused me to think, I really need to pay this channel some attention, because it really could be, because when you're a minister and you've been a minister all your life and you haven't made a dime, and you look around you and say, how am I going to afford retirement? If I have to retire, how am I going to afford moving forward with my life? And you see something like YouTube where maybe that can alleviate some of the pressure. It really means a lot to me. As a former preacher, I used to get paid, for talking to people, and so I guess it's a skill. So I'm going to try to keep using it in a different context, though, of course. So thank you for stopping by. I appreciate every single one of you. You know, make sure that you do the things that people who watch YouTube videos do them. I appreciate that. That's really from my heart. Thank you very much. And you know, next week we'll get really into it, and we'll start talking about some different things and get into comments and things like that. And just keep it up. Appreciate it. Make sure you like and share and subscribe and all those things. And you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.